All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. This is Earning the EC Ancillary Certificate. And I want to thank you all for being with us today. Can we all just hold on for 1 second? I think we may have a little bit of technical difficulty. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being patient with us. We had the incorrect slides up, but now we have them up and we are ready to get started. So again, thank you all very much for joining us today for preparing for July 2019, the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Erin. I'm here joined by my colleague, Michelle. And today we will be walking through the requirements related to the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate, which go into place July 2019. Before we get started, I do just want to let everybody know that we will be able to take questions through the chat box. So on your Zoom control bar, you should be able to access something that says chat. If you open that and type in questions, I will try to answer anything that has come in at the end of the presentation. So thank you in advance for your patience as we go through that. All right. So for this webinar today, we'll be following the following agenda. So first, we're going to go through what exactly is the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate. So I want to just clarify to everybody, we have abbreviated the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate to be ECAC, E-C-A-C. I know that the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate is a bit of a mouthful. So throughout this presentation and in all our other guidance documents, you will see us use the term ECAC. This is the Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate. So the ECAC is a professional credential for individuals working in early learning centers in Louisiana. So first, we'll begin the presentation by covering what is the ECAC, who needs the ECAC, how do you qualify for the ECAC, and where do you apply for the ECAC. Then we're going to spend some time reviewing the supports that are available for early childhood teachers, as well as provide additional information about ECAC programs. And then last, we'll talk about next steps and resources for individuals as they are preparing for July 2019 and beyond. Great. Okay, so now we will begin with the ECAC requirement. So first, what is the ECAC requirement? So beginning on July 1, 2019, directors will be responsible for verifying that lead teachers in Type 3 early learning centers have the ECAC as a minimum credential within 24 months of their start date as a lead teacher. Directors will be asked this as a part of their program partner assurances that they will complete this spring as early as April. Second, we want to talk a little bit about the training for the ECAC. So as many of you already know, as of July 2018, so last summer, there were some changes that went into place for the requirements for candidates that are completing training for an ECAC. So simply put, teachers that are earning a CDA or a technical diploma for the ECAC should be attending a BESI-approved ECAC preparation program. We will talk about this in more detail throughout this presentation. And then third, it is important to keep in mind that there are some very valuable supports for the ECAC. So teachers can receive support financially related to the ECAC in two ways. The first is in scholarships, which are available to support attending training for the ECAC. And then the second is in tax credits. So teachers who earn the ECAC can qualify for an increased school readiness tax credit, or SRTC, possibly qualifying for the highest annual refund amount within 2 years. So this means that teachers that earn that ECAC requirement and qualify for the SRTC may be able to earn up to $3,300 if they've been working for 2 years. So this is a huge benefit for our child care teachers. So let's talk a little bit about what is the ECAC. So I know we have all been hearing ECAC, or Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate, floating around for years now. We first started talking about this in 2014, but very concretely. So what the ECAC is, it is a professional credential for teachers that are working in early learning centers. It is issued by the Louisiana Department of Education at no cost when a teacher demonstrates one of the following credentials. So this could be a CDA or technical diploma, which is completed at an ECAC program. It could be an associate degree in early childhood or a bachelor's degree or higher. I'm going to go through each of these qualifying pathways in detail. And then again, it allows teachers to qualify for increased refundable tax credits, earning up to $3,300 a year. So the most important thing to remember here is that as of July 2019, owners or directors in Type 3 early learning centers will be required to meet the ECAC requirement in order to maintain their Type 3 license. This will be included as part of the program partner assurances for Type 3 centers this year. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about who needs the ECAC. So beginning July 1, 2019, lead teachers in Type 3 early learning centers will be required to have the ECAC as a minimum credential within 24 months of their start date as a lead teacher. So that means that any individual who was working in a Type 3 child care center as of 2 years ago, on July 1, 2019, needs to have an active and valid ECAC as of July 1, 2019. So this means that those individuals who began working as a lead teacher before July 1, 2019 must have the ECAC as of July 1, 2019. For individuals who began after that date, they must have the ECAC within 24 months of their start date. So for individuals who began working as a lead teacher after July 1, 2017, while we would encourage those individuals to have the ECAC this summer if they qualify, they must have it officially within 24 months of their start date as lead teacher. So this slide walks us through some of the steps that should happen for teachers once they begin working in an early learning center, in a type 3 early learning center. So once a teacher is hired as a lead teacher, they have 24 months to earn the ECAC. We should keep in mind that earning a qualifying credential for the ECAC could easily take a year or more, and so we strongly encourage lead teachers to get started soon after they begin in the position. So once they begin as a lead teacher, they should begin working to qualify for the ECAC. So this is through completing a credential that qualifies. Also keeping in mind that there may be scholarships available to cover the cost of tuition to attend an ECAC program or contribute to the cost of attending an associate or BA program. And then once a credential has been completed, the individual is ready to apply for the ECAC. So with a completed qualifying credential, you can submit an application for the ECAC. Applications and evidence of the credential are submitted to Teach Live LA. There's an important note down here on the bottom. So this is new as of this year, but the ECAC can also be used as a qualifying credential for directors. In this case, directors must earn the ECAC before they become the director, so that's how they are qualifying to become the director. The way that they earn the ECAC is the same, so we will make a note that the scholarships that we discuss here are typically only available for individuals that are working in a type 3 early learning center. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the ways that you could qualify for the ECAC. So there are 4 key ways that an individual might qualify for the ECAC. The first, and by far the most common, is a CDA and high school diploma or equivalent. The second is a technical diploma in early childhood. These first 2 methods should be completed at a BESI-approved ECAC program. There are some circumstances where that's not required, and we'll talk about those in detail in just a second. The third way an individual could qualify for the ECAC is with an associate degree in early childhood, and the fourth is with a bachelor degree or higher. In these cases, training must be completed at a regionally accredited college or university. Now we're going to talk in detail about each of these qualifying methods. So method 1 is to qualify with a CDA and high school diploma or equivalent. So in order to do this, an individual should attend a BESI-approved ECAC program. We will talk a little bit more about what BESI-approved ECAC programs are in a moment, but just quickly, ECAC programs are high-quality teacher preparation programs that are designed for child care teachers. There are 22 programs around the state, with new programs still being approved. So the training for the CDA should be completed at an ECAC program. An important thing to note about the ECAC program structure is that it is a comprehensive CDA, meaning when you enroll to do the entire CDA program from start to finish. There's not an option to enroll in an ECAC program and attend only part of it. It is structured much more like it would be if you were completing a traditional credential, like an associate or a bachelor's degree, where you have to do the coursework in a sequence and in order. This is really a huge benefit to teachers and attendees because it makes sure that you're getting every piece of information. Another very important feature here is that teachers at Type 3 centers may use Louisiana Pathways scholarships to attend an ECAC program. Those scholarships cover the full cost of tuition to attend these incredibly valuable programs. So now I'm going to talk through these additional bullets labeled additional information, which are very important. So there are a few clarifications to make about attending the approved ECAC programs. So teachers who had completed 36 hours or more of CDA training as of July 1, 2018 are not required to attend an ECAC program. They may complete CDA with any trainer or program. So what does that mean? That means that an individual who was already starting their CDA and had done quite a bit of training at an unapproved program, maybe through various professional development opportunities, maybe through one of the online programs that has not been approved, as long as they had 36 hours or more as of July 1, 2018, they are not required to attend a BESI-approved ECAC program. We want to make sure that those folks can go ahead and complete their training on the path that they have begun. Teachers who cannot access an approved ECAC program may be able to apply for an approved program waiver. If the teacher receives an approved program waiver, they would be allowed to complete the CDA training at any location. This waiver should be earned prior to completing the CDA training and prior to applying for the ECAC. And we'll talk about that again in more detail in a moment. And then finally, the Louisiana Pathways CDA Assessment Scholarship is available to help complete the CDA credential. This is for individuals who attend an ECAC program, as well as individuals who fall into the categories where they may attend an unapproved program. That is specifically to help with the funding needed to complete that assessment and portfolio review. All right, now we're going to talk about the second method to qualify for a technical diploma in early childhood. So the second way is with a technical diploma in early childhood that was earned by attending a BESI-approved ECAC program. So technical diplomas in early childhood must be completed at an approved ECAC program, just like the CDA. There is currently one technical diploma program that's been approved, though more may be approved in the future. This is Unitech, and Unitech is currently in several locations around the state. You can see that on our list of approved programs. Teachers at Type 3 centers may use Louisiana Pathways scholarships to support the cost of tuition at the approved ECAC program. So this is true whether you are going the CDA or the technical diploma route with the ECAC program. So again, there's a few additional clarifications here. Teachers who had begun a technical diploma program in early childhood prior to July 1, 2018 may complete the program even if it's not an approved ECAC program. So similar to the CDA, individuals who had already put in that time and effort and had started prior to July 1, 2018, they may complete the program on the path that they were on. Additionally, there is the opportunity to apply for an approved program waiver. We will talk about that further, but what the approved program waiver does is it allows an individual to attend an unapproved preparation program. Okay. And finally, let's discuss methods 3 and 4, which is qualifying with an associate or bachelor's degree. So to do this, an individual would earn a degree from a regionally accredited college or university. The associate degree route must be completed in an early childhood related field. However, the bachelor degree or higher may be in any subject area. Teachers at Type 3 Early Learning Centers may use the Louisiana Pathways College Tuition Scholarships to support the cost of tuition if they are completing a degree related to early childhood. So these are the same scholarships that Louisiana Pathways has offered for quite some time. It is still possible to get a college tuition scholarship to support the completion of an associate or bachelor's degree in early childhood. And very importantly, we want to talk about the renewal of the ECAC. So teachers and directors who have earned the ECAC should renew it every 3 years through an online application process. So the ECAC must be renewed every 3 years, and it is at no cost to the individual. The ECAC should be renewed at the request of the individual's employer, and the application must include documentation of 45 clock hours or equivalent of training in early childhood care and education, and 80 hours of work experience with young children or families. For those of you that are familiar with the CDA, you are probably noticing that those requirements are the same as those that are needed to renew your CDA every 3 years. If you have a CDA and you choose to continue to renew the CDA with the CDA Council, you may turn in documentation of your renewed CDA instead of documentation of the training hours and work experience. Okay, now we'll move on to talking about where do you apply for the ECAC. So once teachers have earned a qualifying credential, teachers and directors apply for the ECAC through the Teach LA Live portal. Renewal applications are also submitted through Teach LA Live. I want to make a note here that the Teach LA Live portal launched in April 2018. So for individuals who started applying for or earning ECACs before April 2018, this may be new, but it will be the process for going forward. So in order to earn your ECAC through Teach Live, every applicant should create an account with Teach LA Live. Both initial applications and renewal applications are submitted through the Teach LA Live portal. And then applicants need to include evidence of their qualifying credential with the application. So this is incredibly important, but when you go on there and you're completing the application, you need to include evidence of how you are qualifying. So if you're applying with a CDA, this means the CDA certificate, the high school diploma or equivalent, and a transcript from an approved ECAC program if that's how you're qualifying. If you have the approved program waiver that allowed you to complete the training at an unapproved program, you would include that approved program waiver at that time. For individuals qualifying with a technical diploma, AA, or BA, they would include transcripts that show the degree completion. So a few important notes here. If you are using pictures to upload and apply for those applications, you need to make sure that they are legible. Our certification team has to be able to read and verify. So a scan is always a safer idea, but if you are using a picture, just make sure that it is clear. Another important note here is when you log on to the Teach LA Live portal and you create an account, there are multiple applications here. So this is the portal that any teacher in Louisiana, whether they teach at a child care center, in a first grade classroom, or in a 12th grade science classroom, all certifications go through this Teach LA Live portal. So you need to make sure to look for the correct application. There is a specific application that's labeled early childhood ancillary certificate for the initial and the renewal application. It used to be the case that the early childhood ancillary certificate was included on a long list of ancillary certificates that you can apply for. That's no longer the case. In order to make it easier, it has its own application, so make sure that you're using the correct one. The Teach LA Live portal can be accessed at ldoe.force.com. You can also link to it from our website or from our FAQs. And then we have uploaded detailed directions that are specific for folks that are trying to get the ECAC. These include pictures and really take you through step by step how to interact with that Teach LA Live portal. So that can be found here. If you're having trouble clicking any of the links, we will be sharing these slides through the newsletter today. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, so now we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about what supports are available for early childhood teachers as they pursue the ECAC. So there are several supports available that are really essential for supporting teachers as they're taking this important step to further their education. So the first very essential support here is Louisiana Pathway Scholarships. So there are several types of Louisiana Pathway Scholarships that may be available for teachers or directors that are working towards their ECAC. We'll talk through each of those. And then the second and ongoing support that's available for teachers is the School Readiness Tax Credit, or SRTC. So once the ECAC is earned, it may be used to qualify for increased SRTC levels. So we'll talk about these in details, but based on recent changes, teachers with an ECAC and the required experience may be able to qualify for the highest level of SRTC. So a little bit more about Louisiana Pathway Scholarships. So there are three types of Louisiana Pathway Scholarships that we're going to cover in detail right now that could help you get your ECAC. So there are a lot more details than I've included here on the Louisiana Pathways website. So that's always a great place to look for more information about these, or you can send us questions now. So the first is the ECAC Program Scholarship. So as you would guess from the name, the ECAC Program Scholarship is specifically for individuals that are attending an approved program scholarship and includes tuition and many fees. It is for qualifying teachers that are working in Type 3 centers. So this is specifically for teachers as they're working in Type 3 centers. And an important thing to note is that teachers may not already have a qualifying credential for the ECAC if they want to use this scholarship. So if you already have an associate degree in early childhood, or if you've already completed a CDA already, that scholarship won't be accessible. The second key scholarship here, I mentioned this earlier, is the CDA Assessment Scholarship. So this may cover the cost of the CDA assessment for individuals that are trying to earn their CDA if they're working in Type 3 centers. This covers the cost of the training and, not the training, it covers the cost of the assessment and the portfolio that is associated when you're applying to complete that credential with the National CDA Council. So in order to earn that, teachers and directors must have already completed their training and portfolio. And then the third is the College Tuition Scholarship. So this may support the cost of completing college-level coursework towards an AA or a BA in early childhood-related fields. And then a little bit more information about the School Readiness Tax Credit. So over the course of the past 3 years, we have been working to make sure that our very valuable SRTC tax credits for teachers are aligned to the ECAC. So we know teachers around the state have really worked very hard to earn the ECAC, and we want to make sure that is recognized, the commitment that they've made to preparing themselves for their roles. So beginning in 2018, teachers who have the ECAC and qualify for the staff SRTC will be able to qualify for level 2 of tax credits. So this is taking place right now. So going forward, teachers who have earned the SRTC in years prior and have the ECAC will be able to qualify for levels 3 and levels 4. So that will be the case going forward. This means that it is incredibly valuable for teachers to have that ECAC based on that potential for an increased tax credit. A very important note here, especially as we are about to go into this time of year, teachers must submit documentation of their earned SRTC to Louisiana Pathways to qualify for these higher tax credit levels. So you will note that as teachers are receiving their information about their SRTC tax forms, this took place last year as well, but they will get 2 copies of that tax form. One original is to be used for tax purposes. The other must be mailed back to Louisiana Pathways in order to qualify for increased credits. That is the only way Louisiana Pathways will know the individuals have qualified for the tax credit in the past and be able to potentially bump them up to level 3 or 4 if they qualify. So a quick note, especially as I know mail will be coming soon. Another important note here is that individuals who earn the ECAC will have that qualifying credential shared with Louisiana Pathways. So you'll notice when you apply for the ECAC, it asks and notifies individuals that that information will be shared with Louisiana Pathways. That's how Louisiana Pathways knows and verifies who has earned the ECAC. Individuals do have the opportunity to opt out of that if for some reason they do not want their information shared with Louisiana Pathways. Those individuals, as is anybody participating in school readiness tax credits, are responsible for reading and responding to any mailed information and requests from Louisiana Pathways related to tax credits to make sure that we have all the information we need to properly level and support teachers in getting access to that valuable credit. Okay, approved ECAC programs. So now we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about what are these approved ECAC programs that teachers are starting to attend. So what is an approved ECAC program? So ECAC programs are specifically designed for teachers working in early learning centers. They have been carefully constructed, reviewed, and approved because we know that they will prepare teachers to successfully manage a learning environment in Louisiana's unified early childhood system. ECAC programs prepare teachers to lead classroom interactions that promote child learning and development, use high-quality instructional tools that align with Louisiana's ELDS, our standards, and apply a foundational knowledge of child development and learning. So concretely, what does this mean? This means that these programs have been carefully reviewed to make sure that they are supporting and reinforcing class. They receive additional opportunities to practice with the class tool and deeply understand it in the context of completing CDA and technical diploma coursework. Additionally, these programs provide guidance on how to use a Tier 1 curriculum and prepare candidates with the skills that they need to assess children, as would be required for Teaching Strategies Gold. And then, of course, we have not lost any of that key content knowledge that you need for the CDA. So this includes everything related to child development, behavior management, and some program operations. The key thing to keep in mind here is that we are including everything that we would already get in that original high-quality CDA credential, but there's additional opportunities for coaching, feedback, practice, really making it a high-quality professional credential experience, like one would expect in a traditional teacher preparation program, but condensed to meet the needs of our child care teacher population. So as I mentioned earlier, as of July 2018, teachers and directors that are beginning their training for a CDA or technical diploma that will be used towards an ECAC must attend a state-approved program. So there were those clarifications over the folks that do not need to attend, so those who had begun their training prior to July 1, 2018. But for the most part, folks that are starting out need to attend an ECAC program. So there are currently 22 state-approved programs that are offering training for the CDA or technical diploma that could be used towards the ECAC. The great thing about these programs, aside from the assurance that they are providing a really high quality level of coursework, is that there is a wide range of provider types that we expect to continue to expand. So some programs are fully in person. Some are blended online, meaning they have online coursework supported with in-person coaching. They really look very different. They're also offered by a wide variety of organization types. So we have colleges that have gotten approved, resource and referrals that have gotten approved, professional development companies, and some school districts that have received approval to offer this program. I also want to give a note here. We are continuing to expand programs of all sorts. We continue to receive inquiries and applications from folks who want to offer an approved ECAC program, so we expect this number to grow. Specifically, we're working with a group called Early Learning Louisiana, who offers a primarily online program, and they will be expanding to serve all parishes in the next several years. So this will mean that most parishes will have multiple choices for where teachers want to go. They may have the in-person options or other blended options that already are there, as well as the alternative option of Early Learning Louisiana. We want to make sure that child care teachers really have a choice and can figure out what program makes the most sense for them. And so we're working rapidly to continue to expand those choices. So again, the key unique features here, this is high quality coursework that's really supporting teachers through coaching, formative observations, and feedback to make sure that the content knowledge that they're getting is really going all the way through and getting applied in their classroom. And these are the programs where we can use that ECAC program scholarship to support the cost of tuition. So now I'm going to take just a few minutes and talk about what if you can't access an ECAC program. So we've talked about the folks that need to attend an ECAC program. These are the individuals that are starting their CDA or technical diploma. However, there may be situations where you cannot access one of the approved ECAC programs. So if an individual cannot access an ECAC program, they may apply for and be considered for an approved program waiver. A very important note here, the approved program waiver does not excuse them from the ECAC requirement. It is very important to note that there is not a waiver that excuses any lead teacher from meeting the ECAC requirement. This approved program waiver is to allow a teacher to complete a training that isn't approved for one of the qualifying reasons. So this waiver should be applied for and earned prior to the teacher completing training at an unapproved program. So if you have a teacher who is seeking that approved program waiver, they should apply for that and receive it prior to making any type of financial or time investment in attending an unapproved program. So there are 3 circumstances in which individuals might be considered for an approved program waiver. So for individuals that are living in unserved parishes that do not currently have an ECAC program, for individuals who have an ECAC program in their region, but that program is full, it's at capacity. And then there's also a category for other geographic availability concerns for folks who have a challenge that does not fit into one of those 2 most typical scenarios. So a few other additional important notes here. The approved program waivers are considered on scheduled intervals. So when folks look at that approved program waiver, it's a form that's on our website. You can also link to it from this PowerPoint. They will see the schedule for this. So they're reviewed on a quarterly basis. So when you submit your application, there's a deadline by when to submit it, and you'll see when you will get notice of your decision on the approved program waiver. Additionally, on that form, there's a little bit more information about what kind of evidence is needed based on which of these 3 qualifying categories you may fall into. So again, individuals who receive a waiver are allowed to complete their training with any program. It doesn't have to be approved if they receive this waiver. They must still have the ECAC as a minimum credential within 24 months of their start date as a lead teacher. Okay, we are getting closer to the end of the webinar here. We'll now go through our last section, which is resources and help. So let's talk a little bit about next steps for the individuals that are getting ready for the ECAC. So for teachers, the key steps here to remember is that when you are a teacher, as soon as you're hired or start in that lead teacher position, you want to start planning for how you're going to qualify for that ECAC credential within 24 months. Once you qualify, you can move on to getting certified with the ECAC certification. So first, as a teacher, you want to identify by when will you need that ECAC. So it's 24 months after the start date as a lead teacher in the center you're currently in. You want to decide how you would like to qualify for the ECAC, so which credential and pathway makes the most sense for you. Enroll in that qualifying training, and then once you have that training and credential complete, apply for the ECAC through Teach LA Live. For directors, we've also laid out a few next steps here. So for directors, we would recommend that you verify that your lead teachers will be prepared to meet this requirement as of July 1, 2019. So it will be the directors and owners that sign those program partner assurances that are making the commitment that they are meeting the ECAC requirement. So some key questions you want to go through are, who will need the ECAC as of July 1, 2019? So again, these are your teachers who have been in their lead teacher position as of July 1, 2017. Then going forward, it is 24 months since their start date as lead teacher. You'll want to identify then, when will the lead teachers in your center need the ECAC? So if you have a lead teacher that does not necessarily need to have it as of July 1, 2019 because they haven't been there for 24 months, when will they need it? Is it a month after that? Is it 3 months after that? Make sure you identify what date they need to have that ECAC. And then figure out how are they earning the ECAC? Are they looking for an ECAC program? Do they already have most of their CDA completed and they just need to finish those last few hours and do the professional portfolio? Have they enrolled in an associate degree? Or other pathways. I want to point out that we have added a new document. It is brand new. It's called the ECAC Staffing Map. This is for directors. This will be in the newsletter that we're sending out later today. This is just an optional tool for directors to use to help them think through when does each lead teacher in your center need their ECAC and how are they going to get there. And then finally, as a director, you want to be prepared to sign your program partner assurances this spring. All right, so on this page, we have listed a number of resources. I would strongly encourage getting the slides from the webinar today and checking out all of these. They have some good information, but just so you know where they are. So we have all the information about the ECAC is in our ECAC FAQs. This is the document that we've had since 2015. We've been updating it and restructuring it to make sure it makes the most sense. Any question you have is likely in here. This should be your first step if you're wondering what the answer to a question is. In October, so in last fall, we did send out a director letter to all directors of Type 3 centers, reminding them of this requirement. That's also available online if you're curious what was in that. And then as I was just mentioning, we have the ECAC Staffing Map. This is our new tool to assist directors. There are also a set of very important resources specific to attending an approved ECAC program. So we keep an up-to-date list of approved ECAC programs on our website. Louisiana Pathways provides information about scholarships on the Louisiana Pathways website. And then I've also included the Teach Live LA portal here, or I'm sorry, it should be Teach LA Live portal here, which can be used to apply for the initial and renewal ECAC. There are directions, user guides specifically for applying for the ECAC on the Teach Live portal that can be found on our website as well as in these slides. And then finally, the approved program waiver, which we were just discussing. So I know we are all gearing up and getting ready for the July 2019 requirement. We want to make sure that we are as available as possible as folks are trying to prepare for this and going forward. So we will be holding routine webinars, so just like this one, monthly, to review these requirements and to also answer questions. This webinar recording and slides will be shared in the EC newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. We'll continue to post reminders related to the webinars, any new resources and information in the newsletter every 2 weeks. And then you can always find all of this information on our website on the Preparing and Certifying Teachers page, which links from the Early Childhood page on LouisianaBelieves.com. Finally, we want to talk about where to submit questions. So if you can't find the information in the FAQs or you're really unsure, so questions can always be submitted to earlychildhood@la.gov. I will make one additional note here. Certification-related questions can be submitted to certification@la.gov or submitted through your Teach LA Live account. So a certification-specific question would be something like, I turned in my application 3 weeks ago, I want to check on the status, or I don't understand the request I got for providing additional documentation. The certification processing is handled by a specific certification team. As we mentioned, this is the same team that processes all teacher certifications for the Department of Education, so that is a different email. But if you're ever unsure, just go for the early childhood at la.gov and we can help you from there. Okay, I'm going to pause for a few minutes, take a look at any questions that have come in. And if you have any more, please feel free to type them in and I will try to answer them. Okay, I have two questions here. The first is related to tax credits. So it is, are teachers who are not lead teachers eligible for tax credits? They may be if they are enrolled in Louisiana Pathways and they are meeting the requirements set out for tax credits. The second question is about applying for and qualifying for scholarships. So it is asking if you already have an ECAC, can you still qualify for a scholarship? So an individual who has a qualifying degree, a degree that qualifies them for the ECAC, may not apply or receive the ECAC scholarship. So if they already have a CDA, if they already have a qualifying technical diploma, they wouldn't be able to get that ECAC scholarship. Those are not the requirements for the college tuition scholarship. The ECAC requirement does not tie in there. It also asked, should assistant teachers being applying for their ECAC? Yes, if an assistant teacher has a qualifying degree, they should absolutely apply for an ECAC if they're already ready to go. Assistant teachers may be working towards their ECAC while they're working as assistant teachers, and they may be able to gain access to the scholarships. So while ECAC scholarships are typically intended for lead teachers that are currently working in lead teacher roles, we are able to grant exceptions to assistant teachers who are very committed to earning their ECAC while they're in that assistant teacher role. Those assistant teachers do need some assurance from their directors that they believe that that teacher is committed and looking to further their education and will be, working to be a lead teacher in the future. But with that assurance from a director, an assistant teacher may be able to qualify for an ECAC scholarship, allowing them to attend an ECAC program. I just got another question about a director who started in September 2018, asking how long they have to get an ECAC. So to be clear, directors do not need ECACs. The only individuals who need an ECAC are lead teachers working in Type 3 centers. Directors may apply for ECACs, but they do not need it. Okay, and I got one final question for the group. If a director is a lead teacher, does she need to apply for the ECAC? So yes, if you are counting a director as a lead teacher, they would want to go ahead and get that ECAC. Okay, and finally, we got a question about, will this webinar be posted to the LDOE site? So we will work to get this webinar recording posted to the LDOE site soon in the next few days. We'll try to make sure that it is accessible in that Preparing and Certifying Teachers webpage. The slides for this webinar are already available online. They're in that library. We'll make sure that they're on that page as well. And they are also linked in the Early Childhood Connection newsletter that will go out today. However, this recording won't be in that newsletter just because we can't turn it around quite that fast, but it will be in the next one. All right. So with that, I really want to thank you all for joining Michelle and I today. We really appreciate you logging in to listen, to learn a little bit more about the ECAC requirements. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to either one of us or to earlychildhood@la.gov, which will always get you where you need to go. Thank you.